The struggles of getting cheese for the first time, a man with a finger gun working with a talking owl, and this guy eating some homemade honey nut Cheerios without the honey and without the Cheerios. These are some of the crazy but thrilling stories you get from manga that you may never see animated. And if you caught on to that last example, you may be thinking that might be for a good reason. Lately I've been reading more manga than I've ever had, and I started to realize all these people in the YouTube comment sections yelling and screaming to read the manga are actually kind of spitting. But I think the reason some anime fans find it hard to get into manga is because they don't see that manga is its own medium. Although anime and manga have this hand-in-hand relationship where anime is usually adapted from a manga, at the end of the day there are still two different forms of artistic expression that we consume differently. If I were to tell you that there's manga out there that wouldn't work as an anime, some of you may be surprised or shocked hearing that. But then you see stories like Oyasumi Punpun where the main character doesn't visibly speak and is represented as this weird bird looking thing that occasionally talks to a god with an afro that tells him to shoot people. And as you're reading all this, you start thinking, maybe this wouldn't work as an anime. A manga like Punpun uses all of the media and strengths to tell his story, and as such it may not translate well if it were to be animated. It's these elements that make reading manga different from watching anime, and is what makes reading manga an experience of its own. Anime is a medium that relies on using sound, voice acting, music, color, and lighting amongst other elements to convey emotion or its story. An example of all of this is like how in Re:Zero, when something bad is about to happen, they cut the lights off, then play that little yeah, just to let you know that somebody is getting murked. And yep, there it is. There's the dead body. While in manga, you're getting none of this. The author or artist draws some black and white panels with some spicy dialogue, then calls it a day. Maybe if they're feeling a little frisky, they'll shade something darker than usual. It's these differences that affect how we experience and consume anime and manga. I'll personally say that anime feels like a more guided experience, while with manga there's more left open to interpretation, and filling in the blanks for yourself is its own fulfilling experience. To help drive this point even further, I want to talk about this anime that I recently watched called Orange. After watching it, I looked deeper into the series and saw a difference in the reception between the anime and the manga. If you're a big anime or manga fan, then hearing something like this might not be too surprising. A manga being better received than its anime adaptation isn't uncommon. Likewise, an anime being better received than the manga it's based on isn't anything unheard of either. These instances show how these two mediums can tell stories in completely different ways. But back to Orange. There's this one particular scene from Orange where I can see why the anime adaptation wouldn't be as well received as the manga. Without spoiling too much about Orange, there's a scene where the main character Naho, who's timid and shy, is for the first time in the series going against her tendency of not speaking her mind. She lets her love interest Kakeru know that he can be comfortable opening up and talking with her. This is supposed to be a big moment for Naho as a character, and also a big development in these two's relationship. While the anime does an okay job of delivering the importance of this moment, in the back of my head while watching, I couldn't help but think that this could have been done a lot better. In the manga, the characters look a lot more expressive, and there's all these details in the art that help convey how impactful this moment is for these two. Now compare these panels to the shots in the anime, and just look at this. Shorty, you don't even look like yourself here. Now if the producers of this show had messed up and left someone like me in charge of this scene, I would have had some rotating camera shots, had the music pause in the back as Naho was confessing, and right before my guy lets a tear drop from his eye, I would have had you thinking that I was Skrillex from 2011 the way that I would tell these motherfuckers to drop the beat. Basically, what I'm saying is, I would have fucked that budget up. Now, I'm not trying to diss the production staff of this anime, but I think this source is a good example of how distinct these two mediums are from each other, and how these distinctions give these mediums certain strengths and weaknesses. It also shows that when these strengths aren't fully utilized, you can end up with something that might not resonate with your audience. For anime, an obvious strength that it has is animation. Seeing something move in motion is going to do a better job of conveying action over what you visualize from reading a panel. And when an anime adaptation nails other aspects that we talked about earlier, such as music, sound, or voice acting, you may get a more immersive experience from an anime than you would a manga. But of course, there's been times where we've seen anime adaptations so bad that you realize you would have been better off just reading the manga. You see some of the beautiful panels from the Tokyo Ghoul manga and then understand why the anime got so much slack. At the end of the day, I would rather look at these pictures here than see this slideshow. And this point is also a good example of one of manga's strengths. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be too controversial to say this, but for the most part, manga has better art than anime. There's so many manga out there with incredible artwork that if you're a person who appreciates art, then that should be reason alone for you to check out some manga. You might be surprised to see how different your favorite anime looks compared to its manga counterpart. As its own medium, manga is getting pushed to new boundaries as it continues to grow. For me, where I saw manga do something I wouldn't expect from the medium is while reading The Climber. In the manga, the author does this whole flipbook sequence as the protagonist is answering a question that was just so well timed and creative that it made me pause and flip back in awe. On top of that, there's chapters in the same manga that have no dialogue at all. Instead of reading characters' thoughts or having things explained to you, you're soaking in and visualizing everything you're seeing. These chapters take the fill-in-the-blank experience that I mentioned earlier and dial it up a notch. And what's even more crazy about this isn't even the only manga to do something like this. There's a whole manga series called Gon that has no dialogue throughout it. It's instances like these that show the potential manga has as a medium that can tell stories in its own unique way. And as a fan of manga, something you'll be faced with is a huge selection and variety to choose from. There's so many gems out there with enticing storylines and stunning art that may never get an anime adaptation. You want some sweet, wholesome stories that's gonna have you in your feelings? Hey, we got you. You want some spooky vibes that's gonna have you creeped out in the late night after reading? Hey, we got you. You want to read a manga about a divine foster girl going to high school on some goddamn furry shit? What the fuck? Hey, I'm not gonna judge you or look at you differently just because you like the things that you like. So with that being said, we got that shit too. The point is, once you're a manga fan, it feels like you've entered a whole new world with more stories for you to enjoy. Now, let's get a little serious here and talk about some grown man shit. As an anime fan, the cold fact is, as you get older, the time you have to binge watch 40 episodes of Fairy Tail is gonna get lesser, and this is where manga comes in. One of the biggest advantages of reading manga is that you can pace yourself and read it at your own speed. Combine this with the fact that manga is now more portable than ever with digital releases and apps. It's not only easy to read anytime and anywhere, but it's also faster and less time consuming than watching a 20-minute episode of an anime. You could be on the bus or train heading to work or school and crank one of these bad boys out. And doing some quick maths right here, if it takes about 5 minutes to read a 20-page chapter, 25 minutes to commute, then boom, before you started your business for the day, you've officially read 0.5% of One Piece. Hey, it may not seem much, but it's better than the 0.1% you get from watching what the anime is pacing. So in conclusion, manga's pretty neat. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and comment down below. And of course, you can't forget to subscribe. And I also want to know some of your favorite manga down below. But that's all for this video. I'm about to... Hey.